Hello again. Today's project is going to be another attempt at a 4-curved eccentric goblet, and the wood I'm going to be using is Pau Rosa, which is an African hardwood, and I think and hope it'll be up to the job. A couple of people have asked me what I do to maintain the lathe, and could I do a video on lathe maintenance. Well, to be honest with you, there's not enough content to make a whole video, so I'll cover a few points now. First of all, refer to your particular lathe's manual, because that will give you their advice on regular maintenance for your lathe. All I do on a daily basis, or when I'm using the lathe, is when I've finished, I wipe it down and clean it, and then make sure there's no dust etc. left on it. And then the bedways I cover with either a wax and just polish that in, which has two functions. Number one, it makes your tool rest, your banjo and the tailstock slide up nice and easily, and it also protects it. For example, in this environment, in my garage, it's prone to condensation, and we know what condensation does to steel. It makes it go rusty. So if you have a coating on it, that will inhibit the rust. What I tend to do on a regular basis is just give it a quick spray with a silicone lubricant, and that's fast drying, and it also is a good lubricant, and it also protects the steel from rust. So there's that. The other thing is just to, in this case, I just lift this lid here, and that gives me access to the pulleys. And what I do there is just blow that out every couple of weeks, just dust and any shavings that happen to get in there. But on this one, it doesn't really feel that much. On my old lathe, quite a lot of rubbish got into there, so you just take the housing off and hoover out basically any debris that's in there. The other thing is the actual motor itself. On this one you can't see it from here, but the motor faces backwards, so the fan is sucking air in from here, whereas on my old lathe it was here, and the fan guard was here, and of course it's sucking everything in there. So I used to, every 3 or 4 days, just take the guard off and blow out the dust and rubbish that gets trapped in there. And that really is all you need to do on a regular basis, and then I just cover it with a sheet until I'm ready to do some more turning. The other thing is that the tool rest, you get little nicks and dings on there. You can just use a fairly fine sandpaper and just rub that down, and then again you can put a coating of wax on there and polish that up, and that just makes your tools run nice and smoothly across your tool rest. And that is all I need to do. The other thing is, as I say, on a weekly basis, it does pay sometimes. You have little grub screws everywhere which hold various bits and pieces together. Check on those, just make sure they're nice and tight, because they can work loose. They very rarely do, but they can do, so it doesn't hurt just to check all those sort of things, just to make sure that nothing's going to fly off while you're using it. And that's it. So we'll go over to the lathe at a different angle now, and we'll start on this 4-curve goblet. Right, so I have the wood already. I turned a tenon and I've got it in the jaws, brought up the tailstock for support, and I'm just going to turn it around. And what I've done here, because it's quite a hard wood, I've drilled a hole to the depth of the bowl just to get me started with the hollowing, and I find that does ease it off, makes it quite a bit easier. going to do now is the hollowing finished. I'm going to sand up the inside to 600 and finish the inside, and then when the inside is finished, then I can start working on the outside of the goblet. I used a 1/2 inch spindle gouge to rough out, to hollow out rather, and then used my little box scraper just to get it nice and smooth in there. So I'll sand up through the grits and come back when I put the coating on. Speed a bit and give it a final burnish. Inside of the goblet complete, and then we can work on the outside. Here, I'm just going to sand down to the bottom of the stem here, and then we'll change the axis and start doing some eccentric turning. So now applying the last coat of wax. There you go, so the bowl is now finished, and we'll work our way down. I suppose it is the third thing that's happened. The battery gave up on me, and I'd already started to do the first knuckle. So apologies for that, but we'll carry on. Okay, so that's the next curve done. So I'll sand that up now, and I'll come back to you when I've sanded that up and finished. One point to note, if you do have a go at making these, when you've done that knuckle, always finish the top of the knuckle and polish it, because it's on an axis. Like this one now is on this axis, and this one was on the offset axis, so you can actually sand it while it's rotating as opposed to doing it by hand like I had to do in the first one because I didn't realise. So I'll sand this up and finish this piece here, and then we'll come back. Right, so we've got 3 knuckles completed. So now I'm going to put it back on its straight axis again and do one more. Be back in a minute. Okay, as you can see, as it's spinning, it's not perfect, obviously, but that's really not a problem because that axis and that axis are virtually on, and then the other 2 are really immaterial. I mean, whatever shape you want to make with regards to what axis you put it on, but you have to bear in mind that there's a lot of force going on this when it's wobbling around, and that's why I've left the stems a bit thicker. Okay, ready now to part it off. So I'll take the thin parting tool and we'll part him off. Just prise the nub off. A bit of hand sanding then just to get that off, and there's the goblet. There's the finished goblet. Not too bad at all. And it hasn't come out too badly at all. I'll put some photographs up at the end. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Cheers now.